Hey Van City Church, it's me Josh with another church update video. There was a time, believe it or not, when we used to give church updates during the church gathering. But church gatherings being what they are these days, which is more contemplative and quiet. We can't even sing at the moment, but we still show up every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock at Vineyard Church, and we stream it online, and we make space to read the scriptures and to worship together, to pray. And the formality of announcements and budget updates feels a bit out of place. So we show up periodically to let you guys know what's going on with the church and finances and that sort of thing. And there are a few updates this week. The first is that we are going to have our next basics class on February 28th. It's a Sunday afternoon, and it will be on Zoom. I think we've got it down pretty good at this point, even though it is on Zoom. It takes about an hour, maybe a little bit less, though I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And we walk you through what it means to be a part of Van City. No contract to sign. It's not an obligation to join the church proper. It just is an outlet so that you can hear what we're up to, how we do church, and figure out whether or not you want to join up with this motley crew of Van City people. Not so bad, actually, if I may say so. Pretty entertaining. And if you're one of the people that went through the basics class circa 2016 or whatever, back when it was, 2 to 4 different Sundays, 2 hours at a time, and you're thinking, what the heck, these people are on Zoom for an hour one Sunday afternoon, I went through all that. Well, man, you should be so grateful that you got to hang out with people in person and drink coffee, and there may or may not have even been snacks and people laughing and having a good time. These people got to sit at their house on Zoom for an hour. Nobody wants to do that. It's all, perspective, trying to keep people grateful. Speaking of gratitude, guess what? That sounded very facetious. This is not facetious at all. This last month of our budget was the first month in 2021, or I should say 2020-2021 fiscal year for Van City Church, that we made budget as a church. Last year was a fantastic year for our budget. Like I've said many times, we went from a church that never made budget to a church that made budget almost every single month. And then we kind of had a hard start to our following fiscal year, weren't making budget. But this month, not only did we make budget, but thanks to a few large donations from some generous folks inside and outside of our church, we went well beyond that budget, which is an incredible thing. I feel a unique sense of gratitude when I come before these cameras, which I don't particularly enjoy doing, and tell people about budget updates that sound a bit discouraging, though I don't feel particularly discouraged, but it never sounds promising to be like, whoops, we didn't make budget again. But we talk about it and we pray about it as a church and as leaders, and then we change. We grow together in generosity, and not only that, but God brings in the generosity of people who don't even go to our church, who are in some cases many states away, but inspired by the Spirit of God to give and give generously. We made budget thanks to you guys, and thanks, of course, to the generosity of God himself, which is an amazing update. My encouragement is to keep it up, keep the spirit of generosity alive in the new year and for this coming year of our church. We don't know what it holds. It could be a lot like last year or really different. We don't know, but we want to continue to grow and persevere in the spiritual discipline of generosity. And on that note, in growing in spiritual discipline, we are, as a church, revisiting something that we began in early 2020, but then had to kind of pivot away from because of all the madness of the year, which is something called a rule of life. It's kind of like a code, and it's kind of like a way of organizing the way that we live our lives as disciples of Jesus. We started a series and a set of practices back in early 2020, and we were almost done when we had to pivot away from them. So we're returning to those practices on vancity.church/2021 Rule of Life. You can find a revisited form of those practices, or you can just go back to the series proper. The links are all there. And there's actually a downloadable spreadsheet that will take you through what it means to actually physically write out a rule of life, organizing the rhythms of your life and spiritual disciplines in a tenable way so that you can grow in maturity and as a disciple of Jesus. It's been one of the most important things that I have discovered at this stage of my discipleship and this stage of my life. It's been absolutely renewing for me. It's changed things a lot for me, and I believe in it a ton. So if you want to join us in that, go to vancity.church/2021 Rule of Life. Hopefully we'll see you on a Sunday, if not some other way, very soon.